Grand Rising, you beautiful, beautiful souls. So how about this morning, I was thinking about our diet and how our diet has the ability to wage a war, to initiate, to weaponize the microscopic organisms that's inside of us that's already invading our space. See, we have to come to a space where we reclaim our divinity, we reclaim our vessel. Now, speaking of that, if you have not gotten your free download to my ebook, Reclaiming Your Divinity, click the link in my bio for your free copy. But as I was saying, we have to reclaim our vessel. And these microscopic organisms, what they do is they move in to our body. They hide in little areas such as our lungs and our heart and our knees, arthritis. Our fingers, arthritis. Our neck and our shoulders, back pain. They hide in our hormones, high levels of cortisol. We have elevated levels of blood pressure and cholesterol. These microscopic organisms that attack us, right? They are totally connected to our diet. So when I was having breakfast this morning, right? And as I'm eating my breakfast, mind you now, I'm eating oatmeal with potatoes, sausage, eggs, and something else. When I know that I'm in the midst of a cleanse, I'm in the midst of cleansing my body. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having a nice filling breakfast. But as I was eating the food, it's like the Holy Spirit was convicting me. And it's not in a way to taunt me, because remember, we have to also discern between the attacks. But when you use your discernment, and you understand that while I'm eating this food, I'm being convicted. And if the conviction is aimed to make me not enjoy the pleasure of food, because I'm a foodie. I love food. I know that. But I also know that food is the enemy. It's the enemy. See, the things that we eat and the things that we consume and we put it in our belly. The belly is coined as the second brain. But that coin doesn't say the head, because remember, it's heads and tails. So the tails tells us that the stomach is the second brain, but the head doesn't tell you that it's a weapon. It's an enemy of the head. It blocks, it restricts your ability to utilize and to maximize the capabilities of your brain. It limits the functionability of your brain. It hinders your ability to flourish at your highest level. It blocks you from hitting your peak. See, our circadian rhythm is designed to move in accordance with how we are set up. Some people may have higher peaks of energy in the morning, whereas others, they catch their second wind mid-afternoon, whereas others, they are at their highest peak at night, in the night. But see, when the stomach is confused, that means that it's wayward. It's wayward. It's separated from the flesh. Now, your spirit is detached from your flesh, so your flesh is wayward, meaning that your stomach is blocked and your brain is hindered. See, the diet is our enemy. It's the false paradigms of pleasure. They call them our guilty pleasures. When you know that you're not supposed to be eating any chocolate, but yet you sit there and eat 2 chocolate bars and you blame it on that time of the month or a craving, or I'm having a sweet tooth. But what we fail to understand is these things that we consume, that we take into our diet, they really poison us. They really hinder us. They really block us. They really silence the voice of the Holy Spirit, because we are blocked. We are calcified. We are eating up our nourishment, the nourishment that our body needs, the little bit that it's already making, because we're not feeding it the proper things that we need to sustain us. We are feeding it poison. See, sugar is also an enemy because it tastes so good. And even when we drink herbal teas, we need to add sugar to them. We need to add something sweet to it for taste because the taste isn't so pleasant. So what we do is just as a child, we give the kids flavored medicine so that they can take it, because if not, they're going to spit it out their mouth, and in actuality, they need it. See, the hard part is knowing that the medicine doesn't always taste good. It's knowing that we reject many fruits and vegetables. It's knowing that the things that are really good for us, they are not always pleasant. It's the fasting and still knowing that you have to get up and go to work, but your body is weak. It is the moment when you have to hold your face up high and maintain your balance when your insides are just wayward. They're going crazy. You're in turmoil, but you have to show up and remain within the paradigms of proper etiquette. See, the things that we take in, whether it's something that we are watching, whether it's something that we are listening to, whether it's something that we are eating, it is our diet. And if we fail to understand that the diet, if we don't censor our diet, if we don't watch the things that we consume, watch the things that you consume, because if you are watching toxicity, that means that you are eating toxicity. And even if you're not having that hand to mouth movement, you are still eating the toxicity because it's eating away at your insides. When you watch something on television, right? And then when you step away from it, now you're thinking about it. You just watched a certain movie. You're thinking about it. It got your mind going because you consumed that. You ingested that. It went into your energetic field. And if we're watching certain things on television, certain movies or certain scenes, they require more hand to mouth movement. Now we're eating while we're watching. So now it's the double-edged sword. See, I told you that stomach is the enemy. The stomach is the enemy of the brain because the more we poison it. So if you are poisoning your peripheral, if you are poisoning your frontal lobe, if you are poisoning your vision, if the things that you are listening to is poisoning, is toxic to the development of your being, that means that your mind will be set on toxicity. That means that the food that you consume will fuel that toxicity. That means that the direction of the steps of your feet will walk towards toxicity. See, we are magnetic beings. We are porous beings. We have large amounts of pores. You will look online and it will never give you a valid amount of pores that we have on our body because we are porous. We are sponges. We consume everything. We take in everything. And even though many people don't quite realize how sensitive we really are, because everyone doesn't have that hypersensitivity that alerts them. See, all hypersensitivity is a bell. It's a siren. And that siren, it alerts you that something is going on with you. But everyone don't have that bell. Everyone don't have that switch that alerts them. But it doesn't mean that they are not magnetic. It does not mean that they are not porous. See, they are magnetic because we are magnetic beings. We are fueled by energy. We are a complete vessel of energy. And our energetic portals are shooting off in so many directions. But what happens is the things that we consume, see, it's the enemy. It's the poison that goes in us that we feast on, and we're just feasting. It's the hand to mouth, and whether you're smoking or whether you're drinking or whether you're eating or whether you are bumping your gums or just talking about gossip and talking about things that have nothing to do with you. It's just something just to pass time. We're just gossiping. It's the hand to mouth. It's the toxicity. It's the tongue. See, the tongue is also an enemy, but the tongue is fueled and driven by the microscopic organisms. It is fueled by the contents of our belly. It is the contents of the belly that fuels the tongue, that hinders and blocks the brain. It restricts the functionality of the brain. See, we are taught to believe that we only utilize a small percentage of our brain. But that's a lie. See, you utilize as much of your brain as you activate. See, if you continuously feast on poison and you feast on poison and you're watching poison, you're inhaling poison, smoking, you're inhaling poison. Communication, you're inhaling poison. The company that we keep, you are listening to poison. It's the things that you're listening to, the low vibrational music that you take in. It's the toxicity of the gossip that you take in from your friends. It's the things that we watch. What are you watching? And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to listen to things that we can relate to. Sometimes we need to watch things that we can relate to. But oftentimes God calls us to try something different because it's the diet, and that diet is our enemy. That diet, it keeps us locked up. That diet, it restricts us. That diet, it keeps us in bondage. That diet keeps us in prison when God opened up the gates for us to have freedom. See, the freedom is what you believe it is. The freedom is what you are willing to access. See, the freedom is when you wake up and say that I'm going to free my dome. It's when you wake up and say that I'm going to free my vessel. It's when you choose to wake up and step away from the toxicity, the poison, the poison that is feasting on us from the inside. See, the poison is planted by the devil. The devil plants these seeds in you. And when God feels that you have elevated, you will begin to shed those weeds. You will begin to shed those microscopic organisms. But you have to first understand that the enemy is the stomach. The enemy is the diet. The enemy is the things that we hear. The enemy is the things that we watch. The enemy is our refusal to acknowledge that everything is an illusion. Everything is fake. Everything that we hear is fake. Everything that we see is fake, because we are required to use our discernment to take it to God, to pray, to ask God for confirmation. God, I need confirmation on this situation, and I mean everything. Everything needs to go to God for confirmation, because nothing is true. Nothing that you see is true, because it's never, ever what it appears to be. So on this day, today, I want you to think about how the things that you are consuming is affecting your day to day. I want you to think about how your brain and your stomach is in alignment with the detachment of your spirit and your flesh. I want you to understand that the things that we consume, that our lack of censorship, is responsible for the detachments of our spirit and our vessel. See, we are in a season of unity. We are uniting the spirits. We are uniting the spirit with the flesh. And if we continue to take in the toxicity, it will continue to fuel you and bring you back to the space. It will rewind you and knock you back to the same space, to the same prison that God freed you from. But on that note, I really, truly want you to know that if nobody told you that they love you today, know that I love you. Know that God loves you. And even though we are not perfect, but God knows that. It's up to us to believe that we can achieve all things one step at a time. If you have stuck with me this long, don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I release new content. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I do pray that you have an amazing, blessed, and prosperous day. And I'm going to catch up with you in the next one.